Okay, the most annoying question I've ever been asked was, "What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Chaos. My name is Vlad the-tek, and today I'm having kind of a shit day, and I'm probably gonna have quite a lot of shit days ahead of me, because yeah, I'm having a lot of intrusive thoughts thanks to OCD. So yeah, I've been kind of on overload. I was up late last night. I couldn't get to sleep because my brain kept racing. So I decided to kind of take an easier day today and answer some questions about autism instead. So yay. So I actually just Googled autism questions, and I'm also just going to type autism in a bunch of different things in Google search and just see what comes up and try to answer as many as you can, or until I crash or freak out or whatever. In this little section here over on Google, we have questions you always wanted to ask a person with autism. And they have a couple here, and there's a link to a website that I'm probably going to link to if I feel like it. So let's get to answering some fucking questions. Why is it hard for people with autism to communicate? This one's actually one of the easier questions. For starters, we don't get social cues. It's hard for us to understand that. We just have a hard time connecting our emotions in our own head. We actually struggle with trying to interpret our own emotions, let alone what somebody else is feeling. And that's what makes it hard to communicate. And oftentimes you have a thought in your head, and it's almost like you can't put words to that thought. Communication is something that takes a lot to actually do effectively when you're autistic, and it just takes a lot of work and patience. Does this mean you don't get irony or sarcasm? Sometimes. I can give sarcasm and I can give irony. I have a really hard time interpreting it, because my brain has to first work out the fact that you're not being serious in what you're saying. That's actually why a lot of people with autism don't get sarcasm. We take things very, very literally. It's just a side effect of not getting social cues. Is it hard for you to make eye contact? It's hard for me just to look in the camera whenever I have to record these types of videos where I'm just sitting here and I'm talking to it. Yes, it's hard to make eye contact because it's uncomfortable. Me personally, I don't get the sense that you're trying to talk to me or that you're interested in what I'm doing. I just get the sense that you're staring at me. It just feels like you're staring at me uncomfortably, even though you're not. It's just how we interpret it, or at least how I interpret it. Can you read facial expressions? Not at all. I cannot. I am horrible at it. Just like sarcasm and irony have social cues attached with them, facial expressions like being shocked or angry, aside from things that are programmed into us, it's really hard to get facial expressions. For instance, I can't tell somebody who is just shocked from somebody who is scared. Anger is definitely one that I can pick up on. Happiness is also another thing. Things like sadness, nervousness, and things like that, those types of facial expressions I have a hard time interpreting. It's actually a lot harder for me to interpret non-verbal cues such as body language. Body language is the worst to try to get. I just don't get it. I don't. Sorry. So, do you ever offend anyone? Yes, all the time. I am completely unaware whether or not I actually offend people. And when I first started this YouTube channel, I actually tried to go in with this air of do not offend. Until I remembered that one of my favorite comedians, George Carlin, he didn't really give a shit about offending people. The way he described it is, it's not your fault. It's the audience's fault. I mean, it seems kind of rude, but offense is taken, not given. Now, there are some things that you are right, that are absolutely perfectly fine to get offended by, such as like racism, sexism, all that type of bad shit. Things like that, perfectly fine to get offended towards, but something I say, I just don't get social cues. I also have no concept of appropriate versus inappropriate. I am more than willing to talk about anything. That's kind of one of the advantages of not getting social cues or social situations, but understand that comes with excessive things. Sometimes I will say something that is offensive. The thing I try to remind people is, I don't say it to be hateful or to be rude or to be an ass. Sometimes I just say things just because I want to talk about them. What about relationships? What about them? You can have relationships. I've had several of them throughout my life. I think one question that I've seen about autism when I was Googling shit was, do autistic people feel emotions? And the answer is yes, we do. We actually feel them far more intensely than most people. We just have trouble identifying what that emotion is. which is part of the reason for that communication thing, like I said earlier. It's also the thing that if you're willing to get into a relationship with somebody who has autism, you've got to keep in mind that this is just who they are. It's not something that needs to be controlled or cured. It's just who they are. And from there on out, it's just like any other relationship. Just weird. Like, the biggest thing I can say is that we have special requirements and needs that when we get to the certain points, we just need them fulfilled, such as when I go on sensory overload, I just need to be away from everyone and everything and just cool off for a bit. Yeah, I could probably do a whole video on this topic alone. So yeah, maybe I'll talk about that later, because I know there's a ton of questions that people will have about this one topic. So leave them down in the comment section below. Do you get sensory overload? Yes, absolutely. In fact, I'm kind of approaching that already because I'm just having a rough couple of weeks. What does sensory overload feel like? I will link some autism simulators in the description below that I've tried out. And if you guys want to see me freaking out to them, click on the card in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. Got the left and right and down this time. And that'll take you to my video of an autistic guy sending himself into sensory overload with autism simulators. All right, let me actually go to the website. Fuck it. Oh, the full question is, what about relationships? Are they hard? Yes, relationships are hard. All relationships are difficult. Do you stick to a routine? I try to stick to a routine. Part of it is because of whenever you have to switch from one task to another with autism, it takes a lot of energy to do that. So sticking to a routine kind of helps you spend less energy switching from those different tasks, which is why people with autism tend to crave routine a lot. It's also really hard for me to stick to a routine because I've also got ADHD. So I spend a lot of energy both switching from task to task and also staying on task. And I've also got OCD, so that's also not helpful. Now with OCD, just bear in mind that I haven't been officially diagnosed yet. It's mostly self-diagnosed, and I've recently went in for government aid that I got denied for, and part of that was talking to a therapist who says that I might actually have OCD just from talking to me. So yeah, I'm pretty suspicious that I have OCD, but until I get back on my feet, I just can't get it officially diagnosed. But maybe here in a week or so, I'll do the OCD video and do the same thing with that, or ADHD, one of the two. I just remembered I was wearing these headphones this whole time, and there is no audio to this, what I'm doing now. The reason why I'm wearing these is because they're noise canceling headphones. They kind of drown out all the background noise so I don't get overloaded. That's the only reason why I'm wearing them, is to just keep me at a simmer. What annoying questions do people ask you about autism? I've been asked about sex, whether or not I actually want to have it, which, by the way, yes. But I think the most annoying question actually came just recently when my older brother asked me, you know, you used to have such a great control on your autism. Why is it such a problem now? And the answer, which is a stupid question, because that to me implies that the implication being that I'm making it a problem now. It's always been an issue. I just didn't handle it properly way back when. Like, I used to try to act normal, and that's actually what was causing a lot of problems with me. Hell, honestly, I can say this with confidence now. When I first started YouTube, that's actually the thing that got in my way most of the time, was the fact that I tried to be normal, and I'm not. But I guess I can boil it down to, why are you acting so autistic now? Because suppressing your autism, your ADHD, your OCD actually makes it worse. It actually causes more anxiety. It causes you to go into depression. It also causes you to think really bad thoughts about yourself. But it's not that it's not that it's more of a problem now. In fact, it's less of a problem now because I'm learning of better ways to get a grip on it. Although I do agree with these questions that are asked here. Were you born with it? Were you born with it isn't that bad. That's kind of a duh. Can you grow out of it? No. And can you just get better? Hell no. I think that's ultimately why that other question pissed me off so much. Is like, it's not going away. It's never going to go away. It's just who I am. The fact that you think it's that I should be suppressing it or acting normal tells me that you're not okay with me as a person. And that just pisses me off. So, do you like having autism? Oddly enough, yeah. It's actually something that I can talk about. It's a nice talking point, especially since, oddly enough, even though it's hard for me to be around people, it's hard for me to socialize and communicate with other people, I actually like being around people. I know, strange, isn't it? That's why I try to answer as many comments as I possibly can. What's the one thing you want to say about people with autism? People with autism, at the end of the day, and this goes for pretty much anyone who is neurodivergent, at the end of the day, they're just people. Their mind just works a little bit differently than yours. So just treat them like a normal person and understand that sometimes you just gotta learn to accept people for who they are. And that's all you really need to do with autism. Just Autism from the Inside actually put it best, where he says the phrase you should think around somebody with autism is no matter what. I care about you no matter what. Like if I say something stupid around you, just remember, I'm not doing it to be hateful. Sometimes I just don't get social cues. All right, so now let's see what you guys asked Google. I'm just going to type in, is autism a developmental disability? Yes, it is actually characterized as a developmental disability. You can actually get an IEP and help with schooling due to this. Currently, I'm actually working with a government program called vocational rehabilitation, which is a program that helps people with disabilities get into the workforce. You could, if your autism is severe enough, you could also get on Social Security. But yeah, autism is a disability. Is autism genetic? Possibly. They've actually seen a positive correlation between parents with autism and their children also being born autistic. Now, there hasn't been any formal study done on it, but as far as they can tell, it's possible. But more research needs to be done to say for sure that yes and no, it's genetic. Okay, does autism... Okay, running families, we've already done that one. Get worse with age? For me, it did. But again, the reason why is because for a good chunk of my life, I thought the best way to handle it was just to act normal because I was in really terrible schools. That teaches you to mask, which is basically... You think that people don't like you for you. You think that people like you for this facade that you put up. It's kind of what people with depression do. They try to put out this like image of them being happy all the time and trying to make other people happy, but in all reality, they are not happy on the inside. So it puts more stress on somebody with depression to try to keep up that mask, much in the same way somebody with autism tries to keep up their mask as well. So yeah, it can get worse with age if you don't handle it properly, which is why the best way to help people with autism is to get them to realize, this is nothing you have to hide or be ashamed of. It's just who you are. Does autism go away? No. This is here to stay. This is always going to be part of my brain. Does autism affect speech? Yes. So yes, autism can cause you to be nonverbal. So yeah, it does absolutely affect speech. It affects my speech sometimes, especially when I go on overload. Sometimes I just don't talk at all. I keep my words short, sweet, and concise, and I don't talk to anyone. Can autism be diagnosed in adults? Yes. In fact, there's a lot more people my age getting freshly diagnosed with autism because we're still learning about it and we've acquired more knowledge since I was a kid. I actually consider myself to be lucky that I did get diagnosed when I did, because I would have had so many more problems if I didn't have that diagnosis. Here's a good one. Has autism increased? A lot of people think that more and more people are getting diagnosed with autism, and people have tried to link that to like vaccines and stuff, which, by the way, still not a thing. But in all honesty, we've widened the criteria for people with autism. So it's not, when you're thinking about more people being diagnosed with autism, it's not taking into account that we're increasing the number of people that can now be diagnosed as being autistic, and we're learning to identify it at a younger and younger age. And we've just now more recently acquired the knowledge that women with autism display their symptoms differently than men, even though they're having the same symptoms. So more and more people are getting diagnosed because we're finding faster and better methods of identifying it, and we're identifying more people with it who formerly couldn't be diagnosed with it. Also, you used to have like Asperger's syndrome, which is actually what I was officially diagnosed with, which is autism, is now just called autistic now, which used to be a separate diagnosis that is now included into one umbrella diagnosis called autism spectrum disorder. I think that's going to do it for today's video. I've got to end things here. I just need to get this light out of my face so I can simmer some more. Let me know what questions you guys have about dating or relationships and autism in the comment section below, and I will try to gather some stuff for that. And I will figure out when I'm going to make that video. And yeah, if you guys liked it and you are new to the channel, subscribe for gaming content and more content like this. And if you guys want to support me, you can go over to my Patreon page and support me there. But this was actually kind of interesting. I like doing these types of videos. So I'm going to need to do more of them. I've been mostly communicating these types of ideas through like memes and stuff, just some kind of relatable shit. But yeah, instead I decided to do this. Maybe I'll do some OCD memes. Who knows? But if you guys also want to figure out what sensory overload is like, I actually will be linking the sensory overload simulators down below. And check out the card in the upper right hand corner for my video of me reviewing them, which did not end well for me. So leave a like on there for my pain. But for now, thank you guys so much for watching, and if you enjoyed it, feel free to show me some love down below by hitting the like button, and don't forget to check out the annotations for more videos. And I will see you in the next video.